Does Home Secretary take the role of the ICIBI seriously?
Absolutely.
Well, why didn't she meet with them for so long if she took it seriously?
I can't speak for the management of the Home Secretary's diary, but clearly there are a number of significant issues.
Come on. I'm not asking about the Home Secretary's diary.
Well, hello then, I do a pro one. Now, sorry, I know this is late, but what happened, I'd got these sorted out, and then I realised I had a bit of a studio horrendous error, and it looked rubbish, so I just decided to obliterate it and do it again on Monday, so you can have them whenever they've got. So, but anyway, do hope you had a fantastic weekend. Enough of my words. This is a Home Affairs Committee meeting, and the subject of what they are discussing is the work of the Home Office and Windrush. And what you're going to hear is an interesting question set by Labour MP for Liverpool, Waverley, Paula Barker, where she's asked an interesting question to David Neal, the Independent Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration. And what you're going to hear is a succession of other people, like Wendy Williamson, where she will discuss the importance of David Neal's position. And then you're going to hear from Lord Murrey of Blidmouth. Now, he's the Parliamentary Under Secretary for the Home Office. Well, you will understand why we do it this way, and it's very interesting. Enjoy.
Morning, Mr. Neal. Lovely
Morning.
to see you again. Fortunately, you have more appearances before this committee than the Home Secretary appears to have with you. Or that was definitely the case in the past. Has that changed? Because in October, you said to us that you had still not met with the previous Home Secretary. Has that changed?
I've now met the Home Secretary.
And how did that meeting go?
It was good. It was I was over 18 months into my appointment by that time, so I was relieved to get the opportunity to tell the Home Secretary, what I thought my role was, to begin to establish a relationship with the Home Secretary, because the area is particularly busy, and I think I've said to this committee before, the subjective assessment that I feel I can give to support the objectivity of our reports, I think is really important.
You did comment in the past on how you hoped that you could work with the Home Office to address the many issues that you face in your role. So now that you have met with the Home Secretary, what specific discussions have you had about how that can be a better synergy in terms of working relationship going forward?
Well, I've met the Home Secretary once for an initial sort of half-hour meeting where we talked about, or I talked to her about the role of the remit review. I talked about hopes that I had for greater cooperative working with other similar inspectorates, but it was very much a preliminary meeting. I'd already met with Minister Jenrick, and then I met with Minister Jenrick again a couple of weeks later to discuss a specific report. So we haven't yet. I was, as I've said to this committee before, I've always been waiting for I'm a public servant who was waiting for what the government said they was going to do in terms of implementing the Windrush recommendations. So whilst I've made some changes to my organisation, I'm pretty much waiting. I was waiting on the announcement. The announcement was made, so now we're into a different territory. I've not spoken to either the Minister or the Home Secretary since the announcement was made, but I have spoken to senior officials.
During your meeting, did you discuss at all whether or not you believe the government is justified in its reasoning for not permitting the ICIBI to publish its own reports?
I made it quite clear that I thought that the publishing of our reports was key to our independence. I made it absolutely crystal clear that my assessment, and I made it to Minister Jenrick as well beforehand, my assessment was that in particular with regards to the small boats report, that the Home Office had sat on that report. And I made that absolutely crystal clear to both of them.
No response?
No response.
Wow, there you go. See what I mean? Seems a little bit much like meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Yes. Former Home Secretary, had no interest in meeting him. New one, pretty much the same, isn't it? Half-hour meeting, And the reason why we're going to listen to what Wendy Williams had to say, because she gave a glowing report on how important his role in this situation was, and it's very, very enlightening for somebody who wrote the Windrush Report.
Did the Home Office consult with you before they announced that they were no longer pursuing 3 of your recommendations?
As I've said, no, they didn't.
And why do you think that they announced that?
I can't speak to the thinking behind the decision. I can assist the committee with my own rationale, and hopefully I've done so this morning. But I'm afraid, Chair, I can't speak because I wasn't consulted, I wasn't privy to the discussions or the rationale behind the decisions that were made.
One of the things you said, one of the things you recommended was reviewing the remit and role of the ICIBI. How valuable do you consider this work?
The work of the Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration is, of course, really important. And I'm not just saying that because Mr. Neal is sitting behind me, but because if one looks at the reports that he has published, he has identified areas where, yes, the department might be doing well, but also areas where the department needs to improve. I considered that there was more that could be done to support the department, and one of those elements included strengthening his role.
So you'd probably say quite important, wouldn't you, his position in this matter, when you've got the person who wrote the report views his position as important. Now we're going to go to Lord Murrey of Bliddermouth, who's the Parliamentary Under Study to the Home Office, or words to that effect. And as you can see, this is where Diane Abbott picks up from the question that Paula Barker asked David Neal about his brief meeting, and Diane Abbott asks, why is it taken so long? And his answer is what you would class as very interesting.
The thing that struck us the last time that we saw the David Neal was that up to that point, the Home Secretary had never met with him. And now we understand the Home Secretary has met with him, but it was a very brief meeting. Does Home Secretary take the role of the ICIBI seriously?
Absolutely.
Well, why didn't she meet with them for so long if she took it seriously?
I can't speak for the management of the Home Secretary's diary, but clearly there are a number of significant issues.
Come on. I'm not asking about the Home Secretary's diary. Well, you're the minister.
See, that's what I mean. He got an absolute pilfering from Stuart C. MacDonald, and there was none of these back chats. And it was same with Dame Diana Johnson. Totally disrespect her. Stuart C. MacDonald give him an absolute barnstormer, and there was none of that. But when it comes to Diane Abbott, same here, little snide comments. I think he has a little problem with women in authority.
Minister, you're supposed to be able to speak to decisions by other ministers. So why did it take so long? If she took it seriously, why did it take so long to meet him?
Obviously, as Mr. Neal frankly said in his evidence, the fact that he hasn't had meetings with ministers doesn't prevent him performing his functions. And clearly it's a matter of managing both his diary and the Home Secretary's diary to facilitate a meeting. That's all it takes. And as you can imagine, the work of the Home Secretary is extremely busy.
It's not about managing diaries. It's about how seriously the Home Secretary takes the role.
Absolutely, and quite clearly, Priti Patel and also Suella Braverman don't take David Neal's position seriously whatsoever, do they? And quite clearly, Lord Murrey of Bliddermouth, he just sounded incredibly arrogant, and I just found him very, very much pretty poor taste. But what do you guys think? Do they give her the right? maybe you might think David Neal's position is just pointless. But let me know down below, and till the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care, my friends.